Namo myoho renge kyo, namo myoho renge kyo, namo myoho renge kyo. Hello, good friends. How are you today? So glad you're here. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your support. Like, subscribe. Bodhisattva Act helps grow the Sangha. I did a video yesterday on moment, the word moment, the term moment, as we use it in our modern day practice of Shakyamuni's Lotus Sutra per Bodhisattva Nichiren's great elucidations and scholarship, yes? It's an incredible number, unfathomable number, tiny, 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 tiny. But you know, I know from comments that there's quite a few of you out there that are not unlike me, in that we like us a good rabbit hole. I'm laughing because the pursuit of what a moment is itself a rabbit hole. But you know what? As I was defining that rabbit hole in the video, it occurred to me that that incredibly tiny number was a fraction of a second. And then I thought, and I tried to, in the video, tried to remember that the electron, photon, the radioactive, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't quite remember it all, but I indicated it. What the hell is a second? Who decided what a second was? Now, that kept me up half the night. It's so crazy how the mind works, yeah. Anyway, because I know some of you, well, I don't want to mislead you. I did it for myself because I'm OCD like that. But because I know that so many of you share that, you know, we're Buddhists. If you look at the scope of Shakyamuni's teachings over his 50 years or so of teaching life, I mean, and Buddhism is very much exactly that. It's so well suited to somebody with a compulsion toward infinitesimal, right? Buddhism is about chasing down the minuteness of everything to the point of, okay, I no longer need to ask any more questions. This resolves the rabbit hole, not because I need to remember and know all of these minute little facts every day, but because I've removed doubt. Because I don't need to ask that anymore. I feel confident when I say that I know it's meaningful, that I know I'm not being misled or glossing over everything. When I say it, I know it's backed up by such minutia that it's not questionable. It's fact. It's real. Right? That's Buddhism. So when I catch a rabbit hole, Buddhism is well suited to us. Cool. So yeah, this is what I was doing all night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 solid pages of what is a moment. Anyway, this is a PDF. It's on threefoldlotus.com already. So if you go to, you remember the study page, right? The study materials page. President said boots it on, all this stuff. If you scroll down pretty close to the top, you'll see a link that says, what's a moment? And you can click on it and download this PDF. If you're anything like me, it'll make a fun read. You may read it once and toss it, or just keep it in a file so that one day as you're helping somebody else practice and they go, what do you mean moment? And you'll get that sly little grin on your face. Are you ready? Are you ready to tumble through time? Yeah, because I went all the way back to the Egyptians and to define a second, think about this. We know Planck mathematically showed that the smallest increment of time we could measure, because this is tied into remember we've talked about the speed of causality, the little c. I know everyone commonly calls it the speed of light, but that's only because it's a maximum for light to travel, because after that, you break the speed of causality. So the little c isn't the speed of light. It's a maximum of anything, momentum, movement. But we already know things are moving away from us faster than that speed because of the expansion of the universe. So it's the speed of causality. It isn't speed. Anyway, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now. Suffice it to say that when I started asking the question, what's a second, right? How long is a second? Who decided how long it would be? Because I've got this insane fraction, and it's whether a second is this long or this long kind of doesn't matter because it's just so unfathomable. But still, it's hanging out there like unpicked fruit. So how long is a second, and who the hell decided that? And this, to me, is more the interesting part. That these facts and these nailed down truths of the universe and how it operates, it's all a matter of human perception. And right away I'm thinking, man, Shakyamuni, you were so on the nose. All right. So in order to understand what a second is, it doesn't take long before you ask yourself. I'll tell you. I'll just throw a couple numbers at you, and I'm not going to read this whole thing because that's not what this video is about. But so check this out. After I drill down into this stuff, in 1967, that's pretty recent history. The second was redefined by the International Committee on Weights and Measures as 31,556,925.9747 of the length of a topical season year in 1900. What? Hold on. In 1967, the 13th General Conference on Weights and Measures provisionally defined the second as, are you ready? 9,192,631,770 cycles of radiation, this is what I was trying to remember, associated with the transition between two hyperfine levels of the ground state of the cesium-133 atom, see atomic time. The number of cycles of radiation was chosen to make the length of the defined second correspond as closely as possible to that of the now obsolete astronomically determined second of ephemeris time, defined as the fraction of the tropical year given above. As the rate of rotation of the Earth constantly changes, it is necessary to occasionally add or theoretically to subtract a second during the year to assure the atomic time scale, Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, you hear it all the time, stays in synchronization with nature. This represents the sole definition of the second in the International System of Units, the SI. So, I read that and I thought, what? Why didn't you just round it up? Why couldn't it just be 10 trillion cycles of this radioactive item? Make that a second. But there's a clue in that answer. It's talking about the rotation of the Earth. And I thought, well, that's right. You can't just arbitrarily pick a second value for a second without taking into account the rotation of the planet, because that's how we define a day. And a day is 24 hours. And I thought, well, where'd that number come from? You see the rabbit hole? Anyway, the paper gets into it. The Egyptians, the group of 12 stars that mark the night, and then 12 during the day is 24, and then they divided that into hours, right? We read a lot of ancient literature in Buddhism about the hour of the dog. Nietzsche talks about it. All his letters are assigned to certain hours, groups of hours, actually. Minutes doesn't come into play till much more modern history, and seconds we didn't even think about until modern history, right? So, yeah, it's a fascinating paper. It leads to all of this mathematics is based on our human existence on this little planet, in this solar system, in this galaxy, blah, 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 blah. It's all relevant to you and me. It's meaningless, right? It's just a point of reference for what? Our samsaric mind to discriminate, identify, right? 'Cause that's what we do. Fascinating. All right. So let me pull up Anyway, I just had to share that with you because I thought there are several of you out there that will just eat this up. And once you do, maybe it's something you pull out like a board game when company's over or whatever. Today's topic is moment to moment, and that's why all that was relevant. So what do I use the term moment to moment in all my discussions here on this channel and in my books? I didn't start out with this many years ago. It's something that became an obvious translation of the Buddhist rhetoric that I had to make more accessible, make sense to our modern minds, right? We don't talk like they did 3,000 years ago, 700 years ago, whatever. We have to have our own rhetoric to seize on these, why I go down these rabbit holes. Ultimately, when you go down to that nth degree, something clicks, goes obvious, aha, right? Our Renge moment. And, that's this. And then that's how we know it. So moment to moment, 4 different, that's weird. I have to fix that. Anyway, 1, kinetic energy of formations, right? Not just kinetic energy of formations, because the formations are what substantiate potential. And it's in that substantiation that we find the beginnings of kinetic energy, momentum, right? As it turns into a thing, karma, the 2 formations into form are karma. What leads us into formations is some sort of action, some sort of work, some sort of change of condition. And that change of condition presents a tendency, right away. If you're walking along and the condition of the front of your toe of your shoe drags on the ground on which you're walking, you might trip. And if you continue to drag that foot and it becomes a habit, your tendency is going to be to drag that foot, and then the momentum of that will lead you to other things happening, right? That's karma. Number 2, momentum, just momentum itself. Number 3, engine of life. Look up engine of life, you'll see this whole equation play out. Number 4, the expression of karma. It's just another way to say moment to moment, from this moment to the next, you are experiencing those tendencies and conditions, and therefore you're involved in, engaged in the expression, the manifestation of that formation into form energies that are the amalgam of you, karma. The universe, karma, right? It's the happening, it's the living, the being that is karma. The speed of life or causality, in Buddhism referred to as the cycle of birth and death. There's an association that wouldn't be clearly made normally in reading the documents that we have. But you study long enough, as I have, maybe you study much quicker, it becomes obvious that what we're talking about in the speed of life or causality, the little c, in Buddhism, it's referred to as the cycle of birth and death, right? How fast is that happening? Cycle, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. How fast is the cycle of birth and death? Rabbit hole. 43 zeros, right? Planck time, or unit of time. Moments, moment to moment, cycle of birth and death. It is in each moment of life that manifests the amalgam, the freight train of karma, of energy formations into form, karma, in a momentum at the speed of causality, speed of light. But it's speed of causality, right? Each manifestation moment is informed by the previous moment and any influences inculcated by it. I talked about that in the last video, right? In each of those moments, guess what? 3,000 realms, all interpenetrating in each moment. That's a lot of influences, yeah. And it could go any which way. Selected by, if you will, not consciously, by our tendencies and conditions. The amalgam of tendencies and conditions, right? So it depends greatly on the present moment's attitude and intent. Attitude and intent. How many times is he going to say attitude and intent? Because that's what affects the way we move through this moment and into the next. And it happens at such a rate of speed, oh my gosh, right? That's why it's important to know those ridiculous numbers. Because then you stop fantasizing about, I am now in the world of greed, and from this moment I'm going to do this. Life does not move that slowly, my friends. All the more reason you need to chant, because the only thing that's going to make your consciousness, your actions, your work on your energy of momentum is your attitude and intent. I hope that really, really makes sense now. See also moment and cycle of birth and death, other topics in this book, yeah? In this process is the constant flux or change of karma that is the reality of impermanence, because that previous moment, just for its influence on the current moment, is gone. Now the current moment is what it is. No longer influenced, it simply is. And it's an opportunity to influence it, this moment, as it moves into the next moment. And this is happening at how many zeros? So fast. In this process is the constant flux or change of karma that is the reality of impermanence and the concept of emptiness. Because if you try to seize it, with your mind, it's already gone. That's how fast. That's what emptiness is talking about. The idea, the very samsaric idea, that we can hold on to some idea, specificity, possession, experience, it's like trying to grab air. Because we're already moving on. The meaning of emptiness suddenly changes. Because of the speed of causality. Of a persistent static expression are manifest. An emptiness of a persistent static expression are manifest. They're not. They're gone. They were manifest in that fraction, a moment, now gone. These concepts are critical fundamentals of Buddhist thought. As another of the expedient means or skillful means, the idea brings insights into the nature of our mind's constant influence from our karmic stream internally and our environment externally. The two are happening together. And so, although we're influenced by the previous moment in our thought, our mind, we're also influenced by the conditions around us because what? We're not separate. It's our context for self. Therefore, our mirror, our reflection. Amazing, moment to moment. Talking about moments, talking about karma, talking about the speed at which karma, the engine of life, is happening. It's truly mind-bending, yes? All right. That's all for today. I still managed to screw up some frames. It's maddening. Next term, monk. A simple term, although I'll probably manage to talk at length about it. I hope you're enjoying these entries into, mainly I'm making them for the podcasts, because a lot of people, it's either difficulty for whatever reasons to read a printed book, or for that matter, an electronic book, and so they just want to hear the definitions. I wish I could do a podcast series that would have an index like a table of contents. I don't know how I would do that, though. It'd have to be interactive somehow. That was an odd thought. At any rate, this book, this Buddhism reference book, is currently available as an ebook on threefoldlotus.com. Do I have that page to show you? Showed you DOC. No, that's table of contents. Lotus method. Ebook page. Yeah, there you go. So you can see on the ebook page, the Buddhist references, the top entry right there. Lots of ebooks. You'll run your purchase through Lulu, of course, but this is a direct link to get the electronic version. And so you can go through it right now electronically. No shipping or anything, so it's much easier to get. Now, the cost of shipping and printing, and as I say, many of you are outside of the United States, and really difficult to get to, and costly to pay for shipping if it's available at all to your country. So the ebooks, I think, kind of solves that problem. In the meantime, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Yeah. Don't forget, take a moment to like and subscribe. It's just a way to manipulate the algorithms to make us easier to find for people searching for a support like this. Yeah, all of this, the website, this video channel, Patreon. Some great patrons have been very steadily there for me for a couple of years now, and without you guys, I couldn't create these books. I couldn't keep doing this. So yeah, your support is immensely appreciated and valuable, not just by me, but anyone who uses this support, this way of keeping encouraged in our practice, right? Resolving doubt. And in that regard, if you have a specific question about your practice, please share in the comments. Let me know. I read them all. Or if it's personal and you don't want to share it on a public forum, and I understand, that's why I give you tlksylvain@gmail to email me directly. Absolutely, that's fine. Undoubtedly, there'll be something I can point to other videos about to help answer you, and might even become a video in itself. I've done that many times, because all of us can benefit from your questions, right? All right. In the meantime, keep your practice strong, savor it. It's so amazing. And to do that, you need to be kind to yourself. Take care of your health, right? Take care of your health. Keep your practice strong, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Bye for now.
Oh,